Yeah, and I guess if we can lead on, try to keep the timeline of when you started to think, okay, I'm going to start up a business, and I believe your first tech business was DTEX.
Yep, that's right.
And I remember back in the day, you mentioning this, and I was like, oh, this guy, mate, he's out there. He's trying something quite far-fetched. Cyber security. I remember thinking, oh, well, he'll make anything work. That's my mentality. And you came and you presented something to me, which basically, tell me if this is right, you had software that could see when things were happening with your own organisation that would just flag something of note, whether it was an unusual email to be forwarded or a document to be downloaded, and it could flag to a person, is that person meant to be looking at? That is the broadest brush thing ever, but that's what you sold to me.
Mate, I am impressed, JP. There is nothing wrong with that grey matter that you've got up there.
Well, you told me that, and I remember grabbing my IT guy, and I could tell they were like, oh, this is from another planet. And I was like, oh, to me, it seemed a little bit logical. But in the end, you started DTEX in 2000, just after the millennial. Everyone knows what happened for the millennial. We were all waiting for everything to shut down when 1999 went to the year 2000 at midnight, thinking everything was going to shut down. Nothing happened, right? And then you come out in 2000 saying, hey, I'm going to set up this business called DTEX. So how did you get to that role?
Yeah, so you know, there was a lot that happened before that. So, bring that idea and that concept of, how can you possibly not know, employ 20 accountants, 100 people, 1,000 people, 5,000 people. If you're an employer, how can you not know what people are doing with the data? That was the whole basis behind DTEX, right? Yep. How can you not know? How can you have people's private and confidential information and not know what's being done with that?
Yep.
You have a duty of care to protect that data, right? People are entrusting you with that data. It is your responsibility to look after that. Now, turns out that was a very, very foreign concept to everyone, and we were way before our time, exactly as your IT guys responded. The whole world responded in the same way.
Yeah.
And so we were very, very early in that thinking, but I was pretty sure that there was going to be a time when people would realize that this had to be taken care of, right? So
this is 2000. This is 20 years ago.
Yeah, this is 20 years ago. And I met a couple of young guys, very young guys. I think I was 21 at the time, and these guys that I met had dropped out of high school, so they were 17 years old, and they had been pulled aside by the principal of their school. They'd been doing things like hacking into the school network and changing their grades and taking control of their teachers' email address and sending emails to other students and things. So these boys were very, very, they knew their way around the network. They knew their way around IT very, very well. And think about it, back then, teachers were really only just learning. And they had no clue. They were learning the basics. And here are these kids that had grown up with IT, and they know how to code. They knew everything, right? So the principal collared these two boys and says, okay, here's the deal. You got two options. Number one, we expel you today. Number two, you come and work for us, and you help us as part of your school program. You kind of help us on the side take back control of our network because we have no control of it right now. And so they opted for option two.
I could imagine.
And they found out pretty quickly that even though they were as savvy as they were about IT, trying to manage 350 other kids that were savvy at IT and stop them from doing silly things on the network was next to impossible. So when I met them, they had developed a piece of software. It was a very rudimentary piece of software at the time, but clever, where it was taking an event log of everything that the students were doing on their computers, and it was dumping it to a screen. And someone actually had to sit there and watch the screen and point, like, go catch that kid in that room doing this. Go catch that kid in that room doing this. Like, serious stuff, right? But the schools had to pay for someone to sit there and watch the screen the whole school day to make use of this software.
Okay.
So wind the clock forward. We put two and two together. These guys came and joined me, and my business partner at the time, and we put together DTEX.